There is a moment just before the first light breaks, when the world is silent, yet something deep within you is awake. It is in that stillness that truths are revealed, not to the eyes but to the soul. Surah Al-Fajr begins exactly from that hidden doorway, a doorway between night and light, between heedlessness and awakening. Listen carefully, because these verses are not just describing time, they are describing you. By the dawn, Allah takes an oath by Fajr, the breaking of dawn. Outwardly, it is the time when darkness ends and light begins. But inwardly, it points to a deeper reality, the moment of awakening within the human heart. There comes a time in every life when a person begins to see, when illusions start to fade, when the heart whispers, there must be more than this. That is your Fajr. It is not created by you. It is given to you. A mercy, a call, a gentle opening. And just as dawn cannot be stopped, when this awakening begins, something inside you can never return to complete darkness again. And by the 10 nights, Allah swears by the 10 nights, mysterious, sacred, layered with meaning. Outwardly, scholars mention blessed nights like the first 10 of Dhul Hijjah, but for the seeker they also reflect stages of inner refinement, not sudden transformation, but gradual purification. These 10 nights can be understood as 10 phases a soul travels through. One, awareness, realizing that one is spiritually asleep. Two, regret, feeling sincere remorse for heedlessness. Three, turning, intentionally turning toward Allah. Four, restraint, beginning to control desires and impulses. Five, purification, actively cleansing the heart from envy, pride, and greed. Six, patience, remaining firm despite inner and outer struggles. Seven, trust, letting go of excessive control and relying on Allah. Eight, contentment, accepting divine decree without resistance. 9. Love, developing a deep attachment to Allah beyond fear or hope. 10. Tranquility, reaching a state of inner peace. Notice, these are not dramatic external changes. They happen quietly, like nights, because real transformation is not loud, it is deep, and by the even and the odd. Everything in creation reflects balance, pairs, duality, day and night, body and soul, seen and unseen. But beyond this duality lies Watcher, the One. This verse subtly reminds the seeker, you are living in multiplicity, but your origin is unity. Spiritual maturity is not escaping the world, but seeing the one behind the many. And by the night as it passes, night is not permanent. No matter how heavy it feels, it moves, it passes. This is a message for every soul in darkness, every heart burdened with pain, confusion, or sin. Your night is not eternal, even spiritually. There are moments of dryness, distance, silence. But Allah is telling you, it is moving even when you don't feel it. Sometimes growth happens in darkness, just like seeds grow beneath the soil, unseen. Is there in this an oath for one of understanding? Now Allah asks a question, is this enough? Well, for someone who reflects, meaning if your heart is alive, if your intellect is sincere, these signs should shake you awake. But if a person sees dawn every day, yet never awakens within, then the problem is not in the signs, but in the perception. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with Ad? Now the tone shifts, from subtle spiritual signs to powerful historical reminders. Red were strong, advanced, dominant, but they relied on power instead of humility. The lesson is not about ancient ruins. It is about the human tendency to feel self-sufficient. Whenever the soul says, I am enough on my own, it begins to resemble Ad, Iram of lofty pillars. This symbolizes outward greatness, civilizations, achievements, structures. But what is the worth of outer elevation if the inner self is hollow? A towering structure without a foundation eventually collapses, the like of which was not created in the lands. Uniqueness can become a test. When a person begins to think, there is no one like me, that is where fall begins. True elevation lies in humility, not comparison. And Thamud, who carved out rocks in the valley, another nation, another form of strength. They mastered their environment, carved mountains. Symbolically, this reflects control over the outer world, but they failed to discipline the inner world, and that imbalance led to their end. And Pharaoh, owner of stakes. Pharaoh represents ultimate ego, the illusion of control. I am the highest, he claimed. This is not just a historical figure. It is a state of the nafs, ego, within every human. Whenever you feel absolute control, whenever you forget your dependence on the divine, a subtle Pharaoh awakens within. Those who transgressed in the lands. Transgression begins internally before it manifests externally. A corrupt heart leads to a corrupt world, and increased corruption therein. Corruption is not only injustice, it is disconnection from truth. When the soul forgets its purpose, disorder spreads in every dimension. This is why Islam begins with purification of the heart, because everything else flows from it. So your Lord poured upon them a scourge of punishment. Divine consequence is not cruelty, it is justice. When imbalance reaches its peak, correction becomes inevitable. Indeed, your Lord is ever watchful. This is the heart of these verses. Allah is watching, not in a threatening way alone, but in a deeply aware, encompassing way. He sees your struggle, your intentions, your hidden tears. Nothing is missed. Even the smallest turning of your heart toward him is seen. As for man, when his Lord tests him and honors him and blesses him, he says, my Lord has honored me. But when he tests him and restricts his provision, he says, my Lord has humiliated me. Now the focus returns to you. When given ease, honor, provision, you say, my Lord has honored me. And when restricted, tested, you say, my Lord has humiliated me. But Allah corrects this perception. Provision is not always honor. Restriction is not always humiliation. Sometimes ease is a test. Sometimes hardship is purification. The real question is not what you have, but how you respond. No. A powerful interruption, as if Allah is correcting the entire mindset. No, your assumptions are wrong. Honor is not defined by wealth. Humiliation is not defined by poverty. The standard is something deeper. But you do not honor the orphan. Now the focus shifts from belief to action. If you were truly honored, it would reflect in how you treat the vulnerable. The orphan represents the most fragile state of a human being, without support, without protection. Spiritually, it also symbolizes a heart that feels disconnected, unsupported, alone. A true connection with Allah produces mercy, not indifference. And you do not encourage feeding the poor. Not only do you neglect, you don't even encourage others. This points to a deeper issue. A heart absorbed in itself loses concern for others. In Sufi understanding, the closer a person gets to Allah, the softer they become toward creation. If harshness increases, something inside is disconnected, and you consume inheritance greedily. Attachment to dunya blinds the inner eye. The more tightly you hold, the more distant you become from your origin. And you love wealth with immense love. Love itself is not condemned, but excessive attachment is. When wealth moves from your hand to your heart, it becomes a veil. The issue is not possession, it is attachment. A heart filled with dunya has little space left for light. Love is meant for the divine. When it is redirected entirely toward the material, imbalance arises. No. When the earth is crushed completely, again, no. A wake-up call. A moment will come when everything you see, everything you rely on, will collapse. The earth or itself, shaken, broken. This is not just a future event. It is a reminder of ultimate reality. All that feels permanent is temporary, and your Lord comes and the angels in rows. A scene of majesty, overwhelming, undeniable. This is the unveiling of reality, and hell is brought that day. Consequences become visible. What was hidden within the soul now stands before it. That day the human will remember. Suddenly, clarity. Everything makes sense. Every sign ignored. Every moment wasted. Now remembered. But how will that remembrance benefit him? But it is too late. This is one of the most powerful lines, because it tells you the time to awaken is now, not later, not after everything is settled. Now, while you still have the ability to change. He will say, "Oh, I wish I had sent ahead for my life." Notice, he calls the hereafter my life, because real life is not here. What we call life is preparation. The regret is not for losing dunya, but for not preparing for eternity. That day none will punish like his punishment, and none will bind like his binding. A moment of absolute justice, no dhulm, no excess, only the precise consequence of what was chosen. O tranquil soul. And then the tone shifts from warning to mercy. This is the soul that found peace, not in the world, but in its Lord. A soul no longer restless, no longer divided. This is the goal of the entire journey. And notice, Allah does not say, "O perfect soul." He says, "O tranquil soul," because perfection is not required. Sincerity is. A heart that returns again and again eventually finds rest. Pause and reflect. Right now, within you, there are two voices. One that is restless, always chasing, always fearing, and another, quiet, patient, calling you inward. These verses are speaking to that second voice. Return to your Lord, pleased and pleasing. Not go, but return, because your soul already belongs there. From the moment of creation, there was a connection, a familiarity, a closeness. This dunya, this life, only created a distance in awareness, not in reality. So this is not a new journey. It is a homecoming. And notice, to your Lord, a deeply personal relationship. Not a distant creator, but your Rabb, your sustainer, your nurturer, the one who carried you, even when you were unaware. This return is not harsh. It is gentle, inviting, full of mercy. It is like being called back after wandering for so long. Pleased and pleasing, two states. You are pleased with Allah, and Allah is pleased with you. This is the highest success, not just to reach Him, but to be accepted by Him. Enter among my servants. Now comes belonging, not isolation, not loneliness, but being gathered among my servants. These are not just people. They are hearts that lived with awareness, hearts that carried sincerity quietly, hearts that chose Allah, even when it was difficult. To be included among them is an honor beyond words. It means you are no longer alone in your journey. You are part of a company, a spiritual family, connected through sincerity, not status, and enter my paradise. Finally, into the invitation, my paradise, not just Jannah, but my Jannah, a direct, intimate welcome. After all the patience, after every silent struggle, after every unseen tear, now comes rest, not temporary relief, but eternal peace. And understand this deeply. Jannah is not just a place, it is the manifestation of closeness, of being near, of finally arriving. Everything the soul ever searched for is found here. No loss, no emptiness, only fullness, presence, and light. Closing reflection. Surah Al-Fajr is not only about past nations or future events. It is about your present state. Right now, within you, there is a night waiting to turn into dawn. There is an ego waiting to fall and a soul waiting to rise. Pause for a moment. Ask yourself honestly, am I living in the darkness or moving toward the Fajr? If this reflection stirred something within you, do not ignore it. Return to it. Revisit it. Let it transform you. And if your soul felt even a slight trembling while listening, then know your dawn has already begun.